Hello everybody, and let's exit the port. Greetings indeed. It is currently 16:31 on the 29th of April, 2022. 16:31, at least in Central European summertime. Although judging from the weather outside, there's no summer coming anytime soon for me. I'm looking at fresh snow right here, at least in northern Norway. How about you, Grumbles? What do you see?
It's actually reasonably sunny. It's not too warm. It's my kind of weather.
Your kind of weather. There you go. I for one, I love snow. I love when it's colder, but there's a certain time where it's supposed to become spring and warmer and, more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about around this time. So, and I have to say, watching the startup of what soon will actually be the midnight sun, look over the landscape where it's still snow.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre at best.
At some point, enough is enough.
Yeah. Right. I guess we're just gonna jump straight into it. Although I have one thing I want to say before we get to our actual topics here today. So, the other day, do you have like a set thing that you wake up to? Like, is it an alarm? Is it a playlist? Is it like something like that?
Actually, I have an alarm, but in recent weeks, in the last couple of months, I just find myself waking up. And it's astounding. I wake up usually within a few minutes of whatever time I'd set. So I don't know what that's all about.
Well, me with my neurodivergent brain, I find myself having to change my alarm at a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Because if it's the same sound, then I'm just going to start ignoring it. And it's weird. And recently I found out that Spotify has a wonderful feature that allows you to get a curated playlist in that kind of plays different songs, and they rotate on, like, every time you snooze, there's a new song popping up.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day, I don't think I've ever reached for my phone as quickly as that. Like, I've had the 1812 Overture as an alarm. I've had air raid sirens as alarms. I don't think I've ever reached for my phone as quickly as when that song popped on. There was a song in the Wake Up playlist by Spotify that started with the words, "Hey Daddy." And I was like, no. I reached over, I turned off the alarm. I didn't just snooze it. I turned off the entire alarm, and then I just got out of bed and walked away and made myself a very, very, very big cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done that in the morning before.
Maybe you found that one song that you will never ignore, and that's your perfect alarm buzzer.
Maybe, but no, it's an instant knee-jerk reaction of nope for me with that. So no, we're not doing that. Thankfully, it hasn't returned, so I'm glad to see that. So how do we find ourselves on the 29th again? Yet again, I should say.
I had exactly the same thought. I was looking across at my notes from last month's podcast, and I was like, hang on a minute. Last time it was the 28th, and we were like, let's not do it this late again. Mm-hmm. And this month it's the 29th. I don't know. I don't know.
Like it kind of stumbled upon me, and I went like, 20th already? Hold on. We got to start planning a podcast. So we have a few things to talk about. And as usual, we're going to start with World of Warships. Where there's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time has now been proposed. It's in the dev blog, and we'll probably leave a link for those who want to know it. But it's from the 21st, and the headline is Separating Economic Bonuses from Visual Customizations. Almost 7 years have passed since the game's release, and one of the most important components of World of Warships, the economy, has remained largely unchanged. Over time, we've drawn up a long list of things that could improve or be changed, and when we started working on the popular idea of separating the economic bonuses from the visuals, we realized that this entailed many other changes. That is how they introduce this article. And I know we've talked about that before. Like, reduce the cost of camos and make them purely cosmetic. Because why? Why are we attributing bonuses to the camos? There's no reason for it. I do not see a single reason for it. And there's probably a lot of questions out there for everybody wondering, well, how are they going to do this? And what about perma-camos and so on? It's all explained in the article, so we will leave a link to it. But instead of it being on the camos, it's going to be like this card that you activate, like this bonus. You click this item in your inventory, and then that activates an XP bonus for that battle. Much like when you have a camo wand that has these bonuses, but instead of having all these bonuses, you can instead go, okay, I want my ship to look like that, and today I'm grinding free XP, so I'll only boost free XP. But you can have the same look on the ship next week when you go, I need Commander XP this week. Okay, let's grind Commander XP. And I love that idea. I think it's a great change.
I think it'll bring some flexibility.
Yes, definitely.
Skim reading through it. Yeah. Like you said, people will have to go and look at the blog. I'm sure there's some gotchas in there somewhere, but there's some interesting points as well. Basic free XP earnings are doubled. That's interesting. But it looks like okay. So there's just some trade-offs here and there, some reductions of service costs for some of the higher tiers as well. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it pans out.
So there is a lot going through there. There's calculators you can look at, but and this is something I've been wanting to see for a long time. And honestly, I'm thinking, would signals be next?
I mean, possibly. As long as the only thing that really, the two things that concern me are, one, and I know it's harsh and we should try and take everything independently, but the track record of like there's some kind of gotcha or bungled element to this, right?
Yep.
But I'm going to let smarter people than me work that out and inform me. And then obviously the aspect of how they do the transition, how the change comes in, because quite often it's a big bang, everything's nowhere where it used to be, and people that play more casually like myself these days and so forth might be a bit like, what on earth is going on? And you can't underestimate sometimes how big that kind of impact can be, because it can be a reason why people will completely walk away from a product because you just can't get your head around why it's so different now. I don't think this will have to be that different, but visually it looks quite different from the example pages. It doesn't look complex as such. I suppose the key question would be, does this result in having to make 20 more clicks than we used to?
Like I'm seeing it, at least. No. Maybe a few more. But again, I don't really see it being so many more than we already have, because from time to time you go, I need new camo, or I don't have signals on this, or so on. So I don't really see it becoming a big problem, and I would love to be able to read from the channel on the CC Discord where this has been talked about, but I can tell you that largely people are very, very happy about this. Reading through it, looking at it, people are going, okay, this is good. I like this. And there are probably going to be a lot of questions, and feel free to reach out to me, at least, at some point when you've read through it, and I'll try to help clear out and maybe get some more questions into the team regarding it. But yeah, I can tell you that a lot of the CCs, if not all of them, are positive to this, and like it feels, at least to me, this feels like a change where they're they're listening to us again. Because this has been something that has been talked about by a lot of people for a long time. And
well, it's good. We've seen the trend as being a positive one, a constructive one, and definitely getting a lot better. And there's always the odd hiccup somewhere along the line, but that's always going to happen. It's not about having no differences of opinions or whatever. It's about how you communicate and handle and adapt those things.
Indeed. And like, we still have a bad case of content saturation, I'd say. Current Dockyard and Italian Destroyer event being case in point. And I hope we'll get to a point where this will kind of calm down too, because having so many different things that you're grinding and getting signals and boxes that you don't know why you're getting them, that it kind of defeats the purpose for me, because I want it to be something that you go, okay, I now need X amount of Missouris killed, and then I'll get a box. Cool. Or, maybe not Missouri. I read Missouri on the screen in front of me. Battleships, And then okay, so to kill battleships, I'm going to use this ship, Sashio or whatever, Yeah,
no, 100%. It's not really in case of dumbing things down excessively, but just make it as straightforward and efficient, so that people can get on with just enjoying it. I totally agree with you. Like, with all the events and not having enough time to really look and read through these things right now. So, like, being a pretty casual player of the game, but still enjoying it. I see this because things like containers, as an example. It's like, this message pops up. You got this for this. There's this other button you press. So you got this other thing. And in the end, I'm just like, click. Just open them. Ding if something exciting happens. Otherwise, I'm just not bothered. I don't have time for it.
So yeah, no, I think we're in a good in a good way of doing things here. And did we talk about this last time? The fact that they are no longer they're no longer gonna be, like, Wargaming are no longer gonna be a Russian company.
I don't think so, because I think that happened in between.
Yeah, that's also a big step. Like, development is still gonna be Lesta Studios, that is in St. Petersburg, but they are no longer gonna be Wargaming. Wargaming are I think, as far as I've understood, they're pretty much just gonna be the publisher for World of Warships in Europe. And regarding questions of that, I can't really say anything or such, but I at least saw that as something incredibly important and a big step for them to kind of say that this is what we feel. And with other things that they've done, yeah, thank you, Wargaming, for actually taking an active role in it in your ways. The question of course that some might ask is it purely PR? I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I mean, ultimately, it's got to make business sense. I would imagine short term, as I think was part of their statement, it costs them money. But these kinds of restructurings and whatever are not, I guess, super uncommon. But the circumstances are a rather different one, thankfully, because you don't want these kind of things happening every 5 minutes. Apparently, this is what they did with their model for the China market anyway, to separate that out. And so, there was precedent there and everything, but I guess they just had to expedite the whole thing based on the circumstances. And I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not as if we are expecting a video game developer and publisher company to solve international conflicts.
No.
But they're doing, a considerable amount, let's say, in many ways. And you know what? I don't know. Maybe I've missed it or whatnot, but it would be good if we saw some publicity around the good that they've actually done with the donations and support and that. Because it's awesome doing it and stating it. But let's see, like, I'm reminded of the Paracrew stuff and things that Shogo and others are involved in, and you can see the actual real on-the-ground results of it. And then I think it would be cool to see the more sort of humane and side of it, considering even the name Wargaming.
Yeah, like there is a certain connotation in the name, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, that definitely would be good to see more humans from them. I guess more faces, as such, but one step at a time, and we asked for more communication, and we're getting it. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. I don't really have anything else that I need to say about World of Warships, except this is good. Keep it going.
I only have one additional comment. Yep. Bring back Dirigible Derby. Give me back my dirigibles.
Actually, yes, please. Bring us back that and get rid of subs. Sorry, what? Did I say that loud?
Ping.
Yeah. No, Dirigible Derby would be nice to have back. But we are getting arms race in randoms next patch. And I'm looking forward to that. Because if we get arms race, Dirigible Derby, and similar sort of games that break up the norm instead of freaking Epicenter, then yeah, I'm all for it. It's good. Moving swiftly along, however, War Thunder. They've been running battle passes for a while now, and the first battle pass there was a tank that was the final reward, the T10A, 7.7 BR, or I can't remember what BR, but it was fairly high BR, fairly good value for it, and throughout the different battle passes. Let's see, where was it? A certain German sent me what they've sent out. Season 1, you saw the Matilda Hedgehog, you saw the Garland, the F2G1, which is a great plane, and the T10A. Season 2, you got the T55E1, the Z25, the ITP M1, and the Centurion Mark 5-1. All of these are great vehicles. Season 3, you saw the 38M Toldi, and the Voroshilov, which wasn't a premium. Then the P39Q25 plane, and the M6A2E1 Mutant as a tank. Season 4 saw a new Puma, or a pack Puma, or no, pack track was what they called it, and it's some sort of Sonderkraftfahrzeug at least. The USS destroyed. Wow, the USS destroyed. Wow, hello, brain.
Yep.
USS Detroit, an A6 M6C, and an EBR 1963, also great vehicles. And then in season 5 and throughout, we've seen sort of a weird deterioration. LVT 440, which was a French thing, a lot of fun, that one by all means. But PT 658, which is another PT boat. The 40 millimeter bow fighter, which I don't think anybody uses, and the PT 7657. All of these already there are things that were already in game, just reskinned, pretty much, like minor changes to weapons and so on. Then there was the Turan, the MTB 422, the M64, and the SU8 for season 8, which we just season 6, sorry, which we just had. I didn't really play much, but I did get the M64 for China light tank, fun little thing. And season 7, we're down to only 3 rewards, and the 3 rewards are things that are already in game. The HMS Cadiz, which is a Jutland class, which is a Jutland type destroyer, which already is in game. I think it's called the Battle class destroyer. Then there's the F6C10, which is a plane that's already in, and the Elephant, which is a redone Ferdinand, only with a hull machine gun port. And it's just, it's been a downward trend the entire way. So what they're thinking and so on, and I'm not sure, but all I can say is the value for money when it comes to battle passes has fallen greatly. And I'm not sure that's a good thing. Like, when you're going to go for a battle pass and get people to buy them, I think what we're seeing here is it's a business move. You know, making sure that what you put out isn't necessarily more valuable than what you're selling your battle pass for. And as such, like, I understand the idea of doing it, but I think they'd be better off if they just kind of calm down a bit. You know, take a step back, make sure that you have better vehicles and such to deliver, rather than just battle pass, and just keep on pumping those out. Now, fair enough, they do go on for a few months at a time, but it's one after another. Like, there's no break. None at all.
Well, I think that's it's a little bit like the content saturation or whatever. Sometimes I guess there's just a finite number of deviations or differences. I mean, I think the concept of something like a battle pass, or whatever, it's got to have offer something above and beyond. And as you said, maybe they had it too far and they needed to tweak it. But I guess it's like a worrying trend, maybe, and maybe it flips around again.
Could be,
next time around, but probably could just do with some more clarity on that in advance. Then again, they've probably got to be careful, or just wait for decision makers to make their decisions quite nearer to the time. So
well, you don't only get vehicles in the battle pass, though. It should be said, you do get stickers, and also you might want to check out this battle pass actually, because you can get an elephant to put on your ships.
Nice.
And I mean an actual elephant, not a sticker.
Decoration. Yeah,
actual big honking elephant.
Yeah. Yeah, you had me an elephant. Yeah.
It's not wireframe elephant. It's not decoration as in something that is made of paper mache. No, it's an elephant. I looked at it the other day. I was like, holy, are you, what? Is this for real? I have to tell Grumbles. So, you might need to do some whaling in War Thunder. I'm just saying.
Grumbles makes note to look up elephants.
Yeah, there you go. But no, you get boosters and all sorts of things. So, you do get some value for money, but as far as the vehicles go, could it be that the focus of the battle pass shouldn't be just the vehicles?
I think that's probably the thing. It's one of those age-old topics of like the total equivalent value of, or whatever, you know, the benefit of, etc. And what that means to individual people.
Yeah.
Like, is that a benefit to, you know, because you know, there's always an element of that subjectively. There's this vehicle, it might be really awesome. It just might not be a vehicle that people are going to particularly enjoy or want to have or whatever. So, you know, and the flip side is always that the businesses themselves will be like, well, there's all of this, and this content. So all in all, this is an amazing deal. And it's like, yeah, but it's amazing. It's a little bit like, hey, there's this discount on this thing in the store. You don't want that thing, but you see a big sticker that says 70% off.
Yep.
You know, buying it or not, you buy it at a great deal. It doesn't matter if you then get home and you're like, why did I buy, I don't know, why did I buy Terry's chocolate orange or something? I don't even like orange flavored chocolate. You know, because I was 70% off. It's like, you hate that.
Yeah.
Well,
but so it was 70% off.
Like something like that in there.
Yeah, no, it could be. I think they could possibly be benefiting from actually promoting what else is in the battle pass. Like how many boosters do you get? How many of the other things do you actually get for the battle pass if you go through it? I think they could easily do well by doing that, right? And show you, you get 70 of these boosters and X amount of these vehicle backups. That's where they need to go with how to promote them. I
think that, and like if that was probably opening a bit of a Pandora's box without meaning to, but like that coupled with some simplified elements to the UI of like, you know, what interests you? Are you interested in this or this sort of 4 categories or the core components that make up, and then you can get people easily within as few clicks as possible to focus on what interests them and what they're looking for out of these things. I think there's definitely some scope there, because, you know, we always have a little chuckle here and there about the UI and whatnot. I think that would be something that I think that some companies are missing tricks, because if they made it simpler and more self-explanatory, so quicker and simpler to get to and understand what you're looking at, and whether that's the thing that attracts you or not, because you can't judge that as the person pushing it out. You just try and push out a broad spray gun, scattergun kind of effect and say, well, somebody will pick some of that up. Yeah, that's cool, but that's kind of the lazy way of doing it. Here, scattergun, someone will eventually find the thing they're looking for. Well, no, because a lot of people simply won't notice it, or they'll get lost in the quagmire of everything that's being presented to them. So make it easier for people to see, okay, that's the thing that interests me. like you said, if it's the coupons or whatever they're called, cool. Make it easy to see that.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's. I think a lot of games these days could benefit from having a better UI designer, and actually bring across people that are meant to focus on the user experience. Like, how do you retain somebody in your menus? Like, how do you guide them to the right places? How do you remind them that this is available, and so on? I had somebody the other day while I was playing the helicopter PvE come in and be like, "There's PvE in War Thunder? Hell yeah! There's tons of it." So, yeah, it's just,
yep,
you gotta show it off in a good way. But shall we move along?
Yes.
To what is probably going to be the meat and potatoes of this episode. Twitch. There's been, I don't know if it was from a leak or what it was from. But recently I saw one of my favorite creators on both Twitch and YouTube called Chilled Chaos. He linked on his Twitter an article in Bloomberg News. I'll leave a link to the article for those who are interested in reading it. Saying Amazon's Twitch seeks to revamp creator pay with focus on profit. Live streaming site wants to promote use of advertisements, and top talent could see reduction in share of subscription fees. That's kind of the main thing here, and to give a bit more explanation to it all. Twitch, ran by Amazon.com, is now weighing their changes, is weighing changes on how it pays its top talent. People familiar with the planning and effort that would boost its profits, but also risk alienating some of its biggest stars. So this is like the way that they're going forward is that some partners on Twitch get a 70% cut. Most of us get a 50% cut on tier 1. Like, of course, tier 2 and tier 3 we get more from, but tier 1 we get 50%. Some people get 50% or get 70% from tier 1. And I'm guessing those are some fairly large creators. And they're also talking about a new tier system and so on. And it's like you're actively pushing away your talent if you're doing that. Because like you're removing part of that incentive for people to build a large base on Twitch. Like if I know that I can, like if I reach certain goals, like there's no actual numbers out there, I just want to point that out, but if I reach certain goals, then Twitch will reach out to me and go, "Hey, do you want could you be interested in a contract maybe?" Like, sure. Cool. What do I get? And then there are their own terms within that contract, of course. But if they remove that, I'm kind of sitting here going, okay, why should I try to build more here then? Wouldn't it be better for me to then just go ahead and diversify my content? Stream other places? Upload more? Like, there's no reason for me to do that anymore. what are your initial thoughts on this?
I think that, well, firstly, the article that you pointed me in the direction of from Hello, It's Cola was fantastic. Very,
Yes.
very good.
We'll link to that one too, by the way.
Yeah, if people interested should definitely go through that and have a think for themselves as well. I think that there's the changes that have happened in the last sort of 12 months or so that have had various different degrees of impact. I've certainly seen a reduction in regular or sort of year-on-year income just from, you know, subs and things like that because of the international pricing. And so the whole, not really all that believable, but hey, the prices are lower, so more people will dip in. It's like, I'm not sure it'll work like that, but we'll see. So there's that. And you know, the only reason I kind of bring that up, why it bugs me, is because for me personally, I'm trying to pay as much forward from it as I can to charitable causes. So it simply means I can do that much less to help people because there's simply less there coming through. But that be that as it may, I think that the new stuff sounds very counterproductive for and definitely not encouraging for content creators. Not so much about the split and the top end. Well, let's put it that. I think that's not fair either. But I'm more worried about things like changing and going in the direction of pushing more towards advertising.
Yes, because that is also part of it. I just want to point that out.
That aspect of it worries me more. I think that, you know, we've talked about this before, and I think that some of this, so firstly, it's leaked information, right? So it's not confirmed, but the way these things often happen, it's like, well, this is probably more or less kind of how it's going to go, and it might be tweaked a little bit, but you know, or it could be entirely wrong, and we'll see. What would be great, but again, isn't usually that forthcoming, is a clear statement from Twitch. Hey, this thing leaked out. There's lots of different memos. There's lots of things being considered, but none of this is like, you know, whatever. Or look, this is where it's at. But I can see the pros and cons of them making a statement. What bugs me is a lot of the time there's for a massive communication and community platform, they are really, really lax in clearly communicating when something big like this comes along. So you know, it is. I think that I'm. So the ad thing bugs me because it's already got to the point, I think, in the last year or whenever that it feels much more difficult than before to kind of just browse around Twitch and just bump into new channels, spend a few minutes there, get the vibe, work out if that's where you want to be, or you want to make a note and come back to it or whatever, or just move along. And it's harder and harder to do that because you're constantly being bombarded by advertisements everywhere you go. That's very frustrating. And then there's the inconsistency of how the ads are delivered, and you know, the number of things, and anything that's going to force us more in that direction. You know, why I think some people have said this in other articles or whatever, and they should do more to tidy up and make their VOD part of their platform more usable. Although there's probably this kind of gentle person's agreement between YouTube and Twitch. You do your bit, we'll do our bit, and everyone's cool. But if they did go more towards the VOD stuff, and then they could chuck, you know, ads in there, and whether tiers and subs and all that could have a counter effect on that, that would be something I think people would accept and be willing to go towards, and without going into conversations about how things can be blocked or looked at differently, whatever, right? But just assuming everybody's more or less on the level and everything's running fine and the ads are there, then it would be good to give the creators a chance to say, okay, here's my VODs. Here are my options where I can place ads.
Exactly.
So, for example, you go to YouTube content, right? And a lot of people, if they've got sponsorships and that, will be like, hi, welcome to the video. Today we're going to do blah, 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 blah. It's going to be super cool. Best YouTube video ever, etc. We're also today very fortunate to be sponsored by XYZ, and here's a quick little thing about them. And then you go off and you spend like a minute going blah, 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 and there's usually some stock footage or whatever that you show and say, this is what I use, this is my code. Thanks very much for listening. It really helps the channel out now on with the actual content you're here for.
Exactly.
And I think those kind of things never bug me. So make it help the content creators align with brands and products and services that they feel are comfortable and sort of vibe with their channel and their content, and help them to choose where to sort of segue that into their content. Maybe you start every VOD with like, here's a 60-second ad. Then you and then you could choose okay, at every hour interval, at every whatever 20-minute interval or something, run a 10-second ad, or you know what I mean, and make it about these categories and these products. And then I think you could build a mix and match, kind of have a drag and drop interface, make it super easy to say, cool, this is what your VODs kind of get plastered with, and then you can communicate that as the content creator to your audience, to your viewership or whatever, and say, hey gang, you know, things are shuffling up, you know, we got to kind of make ends meet and get the most out of this platform. I want to keep doing this stuff. In order to make that possible, this is the kind of structure we're going with, and I want to have feedback from you. Do you like it? Let's run this for a month or two. You tell me, are you watching more? Are you watching less? Are you getting annoyed and clicking away? What could I adjust and adapt? And then you make it more of a community and collaborative effort between the platform, the content creator, you know, and the supportive communities and viewership. And that way people, at least they feel like they have an element of legitimate choice and input into the process, rather than it just being like, well, if you want to keep making more, you're shifting towards ads. There's the ads. Here you go. Like,
so you've touched on pretty much all the points that I really want to make here, because part of like you already said, the split or the difference in subs, sure, maybe not the biggest issue here, but it's also part of the whole removal of incentive for pushing, for getting there. But the biggest issue I had was that they were introducing more ads. Like, in order to be given sort of an ad incentive, you need to run 3 minutes of ads per hour, and that means you can get an ad, like a personal bonus from Twitch as a streamer. That is something we as partners have an opportunity of getting, because they are at least working on it now. It's not rolled out for everybody. I want to put that out there. But then you have some goals where, okay, if you like reach these goals and you get this much, you reach these goals and you get this much, and so on. And that means that Twitch can go to me and say, we'll pay you $150 extra a month for this. And I can go, okay, or nah. However, it's the ads. It's the ads that are getting to me. Like you said, the incentive to go around on Twitch to find new channels, to look at new people right now, you get bombarded with ads no matter where you go. And of course, there is a business decision here, because it is clear that Amazon actually want to start making money off of Twitch long term. A lot of people aren't probably aware of this, but they haven't really made money off of Twitch. But this we've talked about before. I honestly don't see Twitch as the part of Amazon that is supposed to make money. It's more like the one part of Amazon where, okay, you bring people into your platform, you get them interested in your stuff, and then you run ads for, let's say, Prime Gaming or Prime Video or whatever, your stores. What else did they have? The Kindle, you know, all of these things. Run ads for those things. Show off your own stuff there. But don't force people to watch an ad every single time they pop into a channel. Don't force a creator to run 3-minute ads every hour to be able to ensure that there are no pre-rolls when people come in. Or I'm not even sure that's enough, actually. But it's too much. It's too much. So what I would rather see I mean, and you mentioned like there might be some gentleman's agreement between Twitch and YouTube. No, there isn't. There isn't. YouTube, with them ramping up more and more towards more streaming, claiming more and more of the larger stars from Twitch, and also having their excellent video service on top of it. No, there's no gentleman's agreement there at all. Facebook also starting up their, Meta, with Facebook Gaming, they also have their own streaming market, and it is growing there too. So I would rather see that Twitch went, you know what? How about we give our creators an incentive to gather everything in one place? Let's give them a good video sharing platform like YouTube with our own ads on. And somebody the other day actually in my channel said the ads I get on Twitch are far more interesting and far more appealing for me than I get anywhere else, like YouTube and other sites. Because Twitch, they've actively gone out and found good deals and found people that they want to work with. Like, we're talking computer stuff, headsets, games, streaming services, so on. Like, we're not talking that you get some random diaper commercial up, which for some strange reason I keep getting on YouTube these days. I have no idea why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, it makes no sense. Where in the ever-loving fuck has their algorithm picked up that I need to start buying diapers for children? There's nothing out there. However, Twitch showing me an ad for a gaming headset, sure, we're onto something there. We're guaranteed onto something there. But if you get Twitch to build up the VOD part of it, where I can more easily upload my own edited content and promote that and show that off in a simple way where people can go, okay, I can either watch a VOD or maybe the uploaded content. Sure. Because there I already have the community. I already have a lot of followers there. Cool. Go in there. And subscribers, of course, get ad-free viewing and whatnot. But others will see ads on VODs. Let ads be on VODs and replays. And maybe also that tiny pop-up kind of picture rubric or whatever you want to call it. In the bottom right on clips. Showing Coca-Cola, I don't know, whatever. Like just a tiny little one. It doesn't have to... Oh, sorry. Don't know where that came from. It doesn't have to be a full screen ad over a clip, but I'm thinking just a tiny little one. This is for whatever you want to show off in the corner where there's a clip. Because then you're centralizing all your users. You're centralizing all the content. I would love to be able to kind of go into somebody's clip page, and honestly, I'm kind of thinking of it like TikTok now, where if I have an interesting video from somebody in front of me, then I go into their profile and I check out the rest of their stuff. Could you imagine? Okay, you go see a clip of somebody. They're laughing. There's something going on, and you're really enjoying their stuff. You click on their profile. You go check out other clips of them, and then you go, I like this guy. Follow. You know, I like this girl. Let's follow her. I like this person. They are cool. Let's follow them. And then you check out their VODs, and then you check out their live at some point. So I don't get why they're pushing more ads. Where is their market analysis saying that, yes, ads are cool? Because I want to talk to the people they talk to in that case. I have an air castle I want to sell them.
I've got the feeling that it's the other side of it that we don't see. I think it's a bit more about the corporate relationships and corporate money in the background that doesn't have anything to do with what we're looking at or not looking at. That's my gut feeling.
But surely there needs to be a market analyst going out there saying, okay, how do we heighten the retention of users? How do we keep our users here?
Yeah. I guess again that comes down. I mean, what I don't know, what's not transparent to me is exactly how they use all of these metrics, right? To actually calculate then their respective income and or what they're owed for these things. All I'm saying is there's probably a whole bunch of other factors that we can't see calculating into it that drive their decisions about where they want to go more for ad revenue than other stuff. I agree with you. I mean, again, I think it comes down to fine-tuning it and finding the balance between stuff that is able to, as you mentioned, like help reinforce and continue to build and grow your brands and your sort of community space, versus just the pure necessity for numbers or whatever the reasons are, for just there to be a thing. As long as there's a thing, as long as there's an ad or whatever.
No,
it should make more sense than that, because that makes it more understandable and helps. At the end of the day, it should be more of a win-win situation. They still get to make their deals and have there's enough variety and enough different content that the creators and enough different channels and enough different viewers, of course, to kind of have everything, a bit of everything on there. So why don't you allow us to work with you to help do that fine-tuning? And that way, you, as a content creator, you're not going to really be complaining realistically about, I can't believe XYZ is advertised or whatever. If it's like, well, these are the 10 brands or things that I've picked that make sense for me and my community.
No. No, I feel like there is a certain disconnect going on there, and it's been growing, honestly. I just hope that they're able to get back, because I love this platform. Absolutely love Twitch as a platform. And we touched a bit on what Colo said. Where was that again? There it is. Where she herself talks a bit about this whole localization and everything, but she touches on something that we talked a bit about. And I quote, "Another way Twitch have attempted to help creators is by featuring them on the front page. This is amazing, and I feel very blessed to be featured there next month. Thank you, Twitch, for giving me the opportunity. It's beautiful to see Twitch reach out to more minority streamers and to feature us on the front page. But I ask Twitch to please understand how disappointing it was to see how many of Black History Month and Women's History Month front page, in quotes, featured creators did not appear on the front page carousel, but on a shelf far down the front page. Significantly less exposure than implied with the mention of the front page, and this is before I've delved into the difficulties with trolls, slurs, and hateful accounts targeting those featured streamers." And that is, end quote. And that is also something we've talked about. The way the front page has been shaped. I don't use any time on the front page because I don't feel the incentive to do it. Like, I don't go there. I should get to know it. I should look at it more. I should feel like going in there. When I go to YouTube, for instance, the first thing I get are hundreds, well, not hundreds, but a myriad of videos and videos from creators I know, and videos that are similar to them, and new stuff and old stuff, and they're promoting the things that suit me. Surely, when you have somebody that sits and consumes Twitch for hours on end, where you see, okay, World of Warships, cool. What else falls within World of Warships as a category? And other things that has to do with ships? Sure, yeah, okay. Let's promote these creators then. But not in just this whole recommended channels. Like, there needs to be something more.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough the way they are creating and showing it off, you know? It's... When I go to Twitch, I often go to directly to the channel I want to see. I don't go from the front page and look, oh, let's see who we're following. Let's see who's on. Let's see who's promoted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I always go to the channel I want to see directly. And they've missed a big opportunity there. Honestly.
Yep.
So as I ended my tweet when I pointed out what Colo wrote, hashtag Twitch please. Listen to your creators. We are, I wouldn't say that we're the bread and butter of this, but like, yes, they provide the platform, but without the people streaming on the platform, would there really be an incentive for people to come by and look at things? No, there wouldn't. I can feel that I'm just kind of exacerbated by just thinking of this thing that they're promoting or proposing. We'll see what it comes out of it.
But exactly. Hopefully it's radically different, or it was all smoke and mirrors.
Hopefully, but according to some of the articles I've read, these are fairly credible things coming out of the mouths of people that have quit at Twitch. But yeah, we can only cross our fingers. And to any creators out there that are listening to us, I can only encourage you to diversify your income streams and such, and ways of promoting yourself so many times. So please. Colo said it wonderfully in her little piece there when she talked about make that web page you've been talking about setting up. Put up that merch store. Make those TikToks, those Insta Reels and YouTube Shorts. Reach out to those companies that you like working with and see if there's a sponsored opportunity maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we'll link to both of these. But for anybody, like both people that consume Twitch and both people that are on Twitch should be looking at this. Honestly. What did my brain just say? Both people that consume Twitch look at Twitch and are on Twitch in the way of streaming is what I meant. My brain just went, hold on, something's weird. Hold on, what did we say? Wait a minute, rewind. It's been one of those days. Ever had one of those days?
I mean, yeah, they mostly just end in day. And sometimes the first part of the word is different.
Well, yeah. It's been a day, Grumbles. It's been a day. Shall we move on?
Yes, I believe we should.
Let's talk a bit about role-playing. Speaking of role-playing, you've been doing a lot.
Yeah. A little bit.
A little bit.
A few moments here and there. Yeah.
What is it like to be I almost said entrenched in the world of Atlas with immersive roleplay for so many hours at a time?
It's ultimately it's fantastic and I love it. It's I'm learning lots of different aspects to it and things about myself in terms of energy levels and in mostly in a positive way about how I'm able to because I'm so immersed in it, the time just vanishes. It truly evaporates. It's the only thing that I've been streaming where I don't try and do my like 2-hour coffee break, get up, stretch, walk around. And we've been hitting like 4 hours and even longer once as well. And it's like, hang on a minute, did we even have a break yet? Mods and chat have been very good. People are like reminding me of stuff and everything. It's awesome, but it just, I mean, for me personally, it just feels like, that's the best thing or my favorite thing is a better way of putting it, that I want to be immersed in. Entrenched is not necessarily wrong either, but it's also intriguing how it's a funny one because ultimately it's all pixels.
Mm.
And you have to remind yourself or coach yourself not to get too attached or care too much because you'll lose pixels or something will go wrong with it or whatever, and that's really hard. But at the same time, the whole or one of the core objectives, if you will, or goals is to have it be so immersive and an enthralling story for yourself and for viewers and whatnot, and obviously for the other players and participants in it. That it definitely, the lines get a bit blurred, not in terms of is it you or your character? And if you're having that problem, you need to step back from it anyway. But it's interesting to sort of lose yourself in this world in the most positive way, and feel like you're actually playing your character. From my case, Skinny Pete. Yeah, I love it to bits. But I also see where maybe that's another aspect is also learning from experience about where to maybe step back a little bit and where to make some adjustments. It's kind of, I can see how. I feel like I've always respected artists and actors and all this, writers and all this kind of thing. Always had this respect and appreciation for the creativity, and never really felt like I could kind of do stuff like that. But I am doing things like that, but you gain a different insight into things. Like I can see now why actors sometimes will have a very difficult time of it especially if they're playing a villainous or in some way troubled character, or even a good character but in a troubling circumstance. I can definitely see how that takes a lot out of you, because they're like 100 times deeper into those things, and I could easily imagine if you spent months and months or even years, if it's like series and stuff like that, where you're becoming this other person for the purpose of what you're portraying, and then you put so much of your energy and your life and time into it that you're not, I can easily see how people lose themselves in it. If I catch myself down at the local supermarket buying my groceries as Skinny Pete, deliberately misnaming people behind the counter and stuff, I might have to slap myself and have a quiet word. But yeah, really, really enjoying it. And it's been great to just be creating stories together with people again on this pretty big stage, where there's been like hundreds, if not 1,000 to even 2,000s in the peak moments of concurrent players online in this world. That's a lot of people to be kind of improvising and acting with.
It is, and it's impressive to kind of watch and see the interactions and see how different towns evolve and so on. And Stats Bloke, a friend of the channel's, has uttered the phrase, "This is my daytime TV." several times regarding Skinny Pete and his adventures. And yeah, I think I might be coming to a point where this will also be my thing, since I'm starting a job on Monday. So I'll be going back to consuming more Twitch, and then I'll be needing the dulcet tones of Skinny Pete in the background, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. But it is amazing to see how many people are interacting with it, and the stories it creates and the moments it's creating, and that's kind of why, like, it's kind of the quintessential idea of why I started streaming, to create stories and moments, and I see that being created every single day with Skinny Pete, and that's so cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and it's been really, really encouraging to see how many people, like, you know, long-standing community members and newcomers alike, and lots of our friends on the platform as well, just kind of coming and spending more time, and yeah, it's really heartwarming and enjoyable. And we've had all sorts of things. You've probably seen some of it, where like even people creating pieces of art for us to use sort of in the game, and yeah, it's, you know, and I've had people just turning up saying, oh, hey, I kept seeing your character around or hearing your voice in so and so's stream, or while I was watching this other character or this other company, and it's like, oh, it's really fun, and so forth. And we've had so many people just come in and be positive. It's been a great experience. It was a great experience the first time. It was very nerve-wracking when we did season 4. It's my first kind of video game RP, like full immersive kind of experience, and just kind of building on it with this go around. And you know, it's hard to explain or understand sometimes. It's like, really, there's how many people playing this and how many people watching it, and you know, it's like, what's going on here? Surely we're just, you know, having a bit of a laugh playing a video game kind of thing. But I think it's a great showcase and example, like linking it a little bit to what we were talking about before in a positive way, of what the platform can offer and bring. You know, and again, it's not to say, because it may be some people's kind of content and other people definitely not. That's cool. But like, just having that opportunity and that variety and that diversity, and have literally anybody play and act as anything they want, you know, within all the usual TOS and common good taste and whatnot. You know, this is the kind of things that can be done on this platform, and successfully, in the sense of, you know, my purpose of being there is to put smiles on people's faces and help them get through maybe some of the tough moments in the journey. And, you know, lo and behold, we're doing that for like thousands of people every day across all these different sort of channels and creators and whatnot, every single day, literally, like thousands of people. And it's like, well, yeah, but all the categories have got, it's like, yeah, but like, this category is, no offense to the product owners and developers and whatever, but you know, you're talking about 10, 20, 30 people versus all of a sudden the dark side community kicks in with all these role players and creators and first timers and everyone, and you're literally in the thousands every day. So there's a clear and obvious difference. Hence, they've actually reached out and started getting in touch with the dark side again to try and patch up the relationship with some new leadership that they've brought in with better communication.
I think one of the like, just looking at it right now, just Atlas. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pretty much all of the streamers I see right now have something to do with Dark Side RP. It's like, if the Atlas devs don't come out and kind of say, okay, this is amazing, then they're missing out.
Yeah,
because this is big. It is honestly big to be able to do that and bring so many people in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's fantastic to see. It is, honestly.
Yeah. Ben and the team have done a phenomenal job, and yeah, it's like I said, that is some of the best parts of it as well as, and I always encourage in my streams, and that is, go check out everyone, go have a look, just spend 5 minutes everywhere, see all these different characters, all these different people, because you never know when you're going to find the next, favorite character, favorite storyline, chill place to hang out, whatever. We had people hanging out yesterday that were like, oh man, it's so good that when you come on and you're here and everything, not just for the character and the story, but they're like, I love all of the stuff that's going on, but so much of it is so hectic, fighting, PvP stuff, like all story driven. But anyway, and they're like, and then they come here and it's like, and now we can relax.
Yeah.
And it feels like such a nice compliment. Like, I'm super happy, like, because offering a nice safe place where we can have some fun and share some smiles and jokes and make some stories together. But on top of that, have people say, we specifically come here because not only is it good RP and story, but we can actually relax and enjoy it and actually sort of ease into the moment. So I'm enjoying it.
Speaking of easing into the moment, I am going to be DMing for the first time in a long time soon, where I will be DMing for a mixture of people. 2 of them are avid role players and have played a lot, and 2 of them not so much. One never even touched roleplay.
Okay.
And and how do you sit down and find an adventure or make an adventure that fits both old players and new?
Mm-hmm.
That's been churning in my head for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you create that? Because with you guys in Atlas, stories make themselves in a good way, because you have moments happening. For instance, remember the jackdaw?
Wow, too soon.
No, but it's become a moment. It's become a thing that people can say, and it can be used to reference something that, I remember where I was when the jackdaw went down. That sort of thing. And recently, you also had another unfortunate accident where somebody crashed into the docks, and it was the ambassador. Suffered sadly the same similar fate. But it creates those moments. But where do you start to create moments for somebody in a role-playing game as a DM? Like, what do you feed them? What do you base it off?
Yeah, so I agree. It's challenging, and I think some of it is about the sort of the context, content, and the setting can help or hinder you. I would tend to go, if possible, for something sort of simpler, fairly straightforward, so that there's not too much complexity. Because I think your experienced players will understand and in a roundabout way easily tolerate, okay, we're making this a bit of a easy, gentle start so that people can get up to speed and get familiar. I think that you've got a very good knack and brain for like a sort of a surprising twist. Something that's the sort of like reveal moment or whatever. So I would definitely throw something like that in and make it as comical as possible, because I think I lean on a lot of comical stuff and lighthearted comedy generally, because it's what helps ease my brain and make it easier for me personally. But also I find that relaxes everybody and gets the group kind of in that creative space, so that they step away from I'm anxious about being here, or I'm going to mess it up, or whatever. You make something that just makes people chuckle, smile, just eases them away from, and it can be something really simple, this, like, create a character, an NPC or something that is just ludicrous in some way, or that has a comical name. Even just something really subtle can work. the way they dress, the way they happen to stand, or the way they talk, or something like that.
I have a few pop culture references I want to bring in, but make it really subtle, just to see if hold on, is that
yeah
is that character?
Yeah, getting them paying attention in that fun, intriguing way. I think that works well. And yeah.
The use of humor is incredibly important for me. Like you mentioned, with being really into role playing, when you get stuck as a villain, or as an actor, or you play a villain for a long period of time, it gets to you. Being in a role playing environment in a dark setting, it gets to you. And I'm gonna draw. I don't know if I'm oversharing here, but the kink community has their own role play going on, of course, between subs and doms. And there's something called both subspace, dom space, and then there is the sub and dom drop, where these spaces are when you're in that character, you're in that role, and it can be intense, especially like playing a villain in a movie. Like, look at Heath Ledger and his Batman character. That's the Joker. And when you're in that space, you are so intensely working on it, and then afterwards you get the drop. So being in those things, I find one of the better ways of actually counteracting it and making sure that people have a foot in reality and that they're not being overwhelmed by the situation and the gravity of it all, is by using humor. And I think, like, one of the ways I've done that before is like, it was a really intense description of the dungeon that the players were in, and they were witnessing gruesome acts of human sacrifice, and like there was guts, like, you know, really going into it. And then I told one of the characters, and you start listening to the chanting of the masses. Like, we're talking 10,000 people chanting the names of their gods. What a fool I am. What a fool I am. And then they'll go, hold on, are they chanting what a fool I am? And it kind of brings them out of it and goes, okay. Right, okay, I get it now. It's a cult. Yeah. Right, okay, yeah. Cool. We're and then instead of being just stuck in that idea that, okay, there's an actual human being sacrificed in front of me, you know that they're still aware of it. Yeah. But you bring them out of it in a good way. So without kind of just dropping them on the floor and saying, goodbye, next time we're going to do this again. You know, bring them out of it in a good way. Yep. But I have plenty of these. But have you ever done a session 0?
We've done some with I guess a semblance of it, or whatever, maybe a lack of my overall experience. But we've done things like, you know, like the character creation, setting the scene, talking about what people kind of want to do, where they want to go with stuff before we actually get into it. I think things like that are usually very helpful, especially if you've got newcomers or you're putting a new group together, because I think seeing the flip side of that is where you don't really have that, and people are just kind of thrust together, and it doesn't quite click, or it takes time, and you have to be pretty damn lucky for it to just sort of click into place really quickly. So I think a session 0 is helpful. We did the thing last night was kind of, they had a session 0 last week when I couldn't play, so they did a couple of little bits and bobs about setting up a couple of characters, and then we had the session this week playing a different game. We'll talk about that in a second, and it was still kind of session 0 like, because it was me setting up my character, obviously, and then refining and asking questions, and again a little repetition of the setting and what the sort of expectations or how things work in the world that we were in. So yeah, that helps, because it's, especially when you're learning a new system, that helps incredibly, because it takes away any of that concern of like, oh, am I doing this right, or how's this supposed to work, and that kind of feeling.
So I saw what shouldn't be a shock to anybody these days is I saw like I hang out on what would be role-playing TikTok, or D&D talk as it's called, where you have plenty of DMs talking about their experiences, what they do, making or promoting scenarios, and talking about new ideas and everything, and players, of course, also talking about their experiences and everything. But there was one guy who said in their in their session 0, they went through kind of a do's and don'ts, but also what's okay to do to my character. Like, are you okay with your character dying? Yes or no? Are you okay with your character being forced into serfdom or whatever? Because those can be trigger points with people. But it's not so much about the no-goes that stands, because that's okay. I'm okay with people having no-goes when it comes to things. But it was more important for the DM to see what he actually could do. All the possible adventures and twists and turns he could take his people on, through knowing that, okay, all of them are fine by being eaten alive by a 1,000-year-old jello slug or whatever, something like that. I don't know. But the importance of setting up where expectations, pretty much. That is what a session 0 is going to be for me, and I think it's also going to be helpful for me to kind of set the stage that I will be using humor, I will be using pop culture, and also to say to my veteran players, please don't just min-max, but find a good place where you can help the newer players, so that they know that, okay, I should probably go for a supporting role or something like that, or to be able to help out. And also to hear what they expect of me as a DM. So that is the importance of a session 0 to anybody wanting to do it, to set up a role play, or do kink. I don't know. You do you. I'm not your supervisor. I think we need an 18+ advisory on this. No, not really. We haven't really said anything about any explicitives, so I think we're good. But yeah, you tried out a new system recently.
I did. So coincidentally, had some of my players. So because of all the time I'm putting in with the streaming RPs and stuff, I haven't got enough time to necessarily put the sessions together the way I'd like to, in terms of quality and depth. So we were just sort of throwing a few ideas about, like, if somebody would have run like a D&D. We play mostly D&D 5e, like if they would have run a one-shot or whatever. But recently we've tried a couple of different systems, and one of the players has been looking into Blades in the Dark, I think it's called, special edition or whatever, and we gave it a go. And the short version is it's kind of a system that relies less on mechanics and dice and that kind of thing. They're in there. But it relies more on improvisation and a kind of a system mechanic of there is a trade-off between within the parameters given. So it gives you a quite simple list of, like, these are the things you probably plausibly could have in this world setting and so forth. The one we're playing in is kind of like a sort of second industrial revolution, sort of an 1800s type scenario, whatever. And So there's like some technology and whatnot, but there's not everything. And then there's some bits of magic, but not too much to be confusing or overly complex. And then the core of it is about you have a selection of ideas and implements like in a range to say, for example, this is a lockpick. For example, this could be this, but it could be something similar in that ilk, and you can use some creativity there and adapt and adjust around it. And then you sort of pick a loadout that you want to take on a mission. So you find out, okay, this is the mission to do such and such, get this documentation from this place, find this person, whatever the mission is. And then you kind of pick the things you want to take. Do you want to take a lot of gear with you that might be more obvious that like, hey, what is that? Is that a guitar case underneath your frock kind of thing? What are you, or you want to be more stealthy and everything, and then you just might not have the things on you or the protection you need or whatever at a certain point. And then as the story sort of unfolds, the GM's giving you various bits of information, you're asking your questions, the story's moving along. You get to a point where it's like, in this case, we had like locked doors, or we were looking for a particular ledger with some financial information we needed to get, and stealthily and whatnot, and trying to sneak past guards and all these kinds of things. So it was like, I think one of the options was for my character was an unusual weapon. So it's like you could have an unusual weapon, but you don't pick it in advance. You've got like these, based on your loadout and things you chose, you've got like these number of points to pick up this many number of objects with you during the story. So it was like, okay, there's this guard over there. You're behind the guard. They're sort of looking around, being a bit suspicious. They've heard some noises. He's looking out of this window, like, what do you do? And it was like, I would like to reach into my back pocket, and I brought with me on this mission. So again, you're making it up. You didn't.
No.
I brought with me an unusual weapon, and the GM's like, everyone's sort of chuckling and raising an eyebrow, like, what? I'm like, I've got a boomerang.
Oh.
And what I'd like to do is throw the boomerang through the window so that it goes whistling past, comes back around and hits the guy in the face or something, like knocks him out or whatever. So that it looks like the attack came from outside. So if the attack is successful, he's knocked out. If it's like a crit. And if the attack is some way unsuccessful, well, at least he carries on looking out the window, because we were trying to sneak past him the other, from behind him.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, I didn't roll a crit, and I think I hit him. He turned around, and then the boomerang fell to the floor. I didn't get it back, so I lost my bit of loadout because I didn't roll very well. And we just had a lot of fun with it as an example. So, but that system, Blades in the Dark, we're all just kind of feeling our way into it and learning it as we go along. But we have the benefit of being a very experienced group with everyone's kind of GM'd in their own right, more or less, I think, apart from one player, and we all know each other well. We've played with each other for a few years, so it makes it super easy. But it's a super fun system, and I would highly recommend. I almost, in my mind, I want to get to a point where, if you have dice at all, you probably have something like a D10 or a D6, or you have some simple system where it's like up to halfway you fail, all the way up to the top you succeed, and then you've got a crit 1 and a crit max.
Yeah. Okay.
And the dice is just used occasionally for the purpose of bringing some chance and luck in, and everything else is storytelling, kind of like where I want to get to eventually, or I feel like where the journey will eventually arrive at.
I like that idea. I very much like that. And I do believe that Blades in the Dark was the system that Rab talked about when he was here and talked with us. So yeah. No, that sounds like a cool system. I think I might have to sit down and look at that. That's a possibility. Yeah. Blades in the Dark. It has to be the thing that we linked and talked about, actually. And I think about it. Anyway. Awesome. I am very much looking forward to seeing more about Pete and hearing more about Blades in the Dark, because I have a feeling we'll be returning to it at some point. And again, we are now moving on to a different part of the podcast. Questions from viewers. And we did actually have one question today. but it was kind of baked into something we were going to talk about too. Because Bluton said recent rumors about Twitch regarding how big a slice of the cake streamers get. And we've already talked extensively about that. So, and that's been the one question we had. So I wanted, please give us questions, give us comments, talk about things. If you see something in a patch in World of Warships or War Thunder, or you have something happen or something you've been pondering about. Like the other day, I saw TC and Stats play together. And I had a tinfoil hat moment, or aluminium hat moment, you want to say, where I saw the gap, like the perfectly sized gap in torpedoes that someone sent out towards a battleship. I was like, maybe the RNG of torpedo spread is decided on what target you have targeted. You know, that sort of thing. Like, if you have any of those, hit us up with it, because we'll probably be able to talk about it for a bit and chat about it, or maybe we have some insight in it. Who knows? Who knows? I want to go first. I want to go first for something to smile about.
All right, go on.
Charity. I feel like we've had charity up here every single time since we started, but it's hard to ignore this one, at least for me. The annual TigersDen cancer charity. Every Easter we hold it, and we reached $4,545 and I think 62 cents for the American Cancer Society through soft giving. And I just want to say, I know it's tough times for people out there. It's tough times for everybody because of rising gas prices, rising food prices, and so on. And I just gotta say, the fact that we reached that much was absolutely amazing. We didn't surpass last year's record. That we didn't. But this year is different for everybody.
Yep.
Like, I couldn't give my usual amount, because normally I say, okay, this week's streaming will go to this, and this week's like I'll match donations upwards to $500. So, you know, when we reach 500, we would reach 1,000 automatically, and that sort of thing. But even without being able to do that, $4,500.
Yep,
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is incredible.
So I'm super donation aware these days too, because I know how tough times are for people. So even just sharing and not necessarily donating, like just helping out in some way, donating your time, donating a big box of stroopwafel that is being sent to America from one of my viewers, because he said, okay, we're auctioning this away. Here you go, have this. And I was like,
awesome.
Yeah, and Dane, my good sir, holy crap. He auctioned off some of his time. Mari actually bid on it, and she's getting drawing lessons from Dane.
Oh, cool.
And he made our new logo. He made our and he helped me, like, he made artwork, a once-off artwork that will be going to Dutch Eagle and Flyer.
Cool.
In the way of a poster that he's gonna get. And once he has received that, I'm deleting the files, and nobody else will get that. Awesome. And he also, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've shown it off on stream, and there's a picture on the Discord of the 3D printed hammer ban hammer that we have on my channel.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Then and Miss Bunny is getting that, and I will be pouring my heart and soul into that to getting that be fantastic. So, and so many other things, and it's just the fact that people are able to are willing and to sacrifice so much time and so much of their own money to help some poor guy who just feels kind of passionate about this. I'm the poor guy who feels passionate about this. In such a big way. I'm just so moved.
It's very humbling, and from my own charity experiences, and it's fantastic. It's first of all an incredible sum. I mean, that's not even necessarily the point, because anything helps.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, in a very short space of time, by putting exactly your passion and time and energy in, and a lot of it comes from ultimately the time and effort over years, and community spirit and growth and togetherness, and just caring and being compassionate about those who would be in more need than ourselves, so to speak, or equal need perhaps. So just that's an incredible amount anyway, and just thank you to everybody that supported. It was nice to be able to do what we could for myself and for our community, and pay some stuff forward from our pledge for this year as well. And the best thing was just being able to watch and see some of your time and again some of that energy just bearing fruit and doing something to help people that are going to need that help desperately. Either they already do or they will do so shortly. So kudos to everyone. It's those giving their time as well. But as you said quite rightly, and when we say it as well with our donation awareness, it's really important to just spreading the word, just being there, lurking, making people know that letting people know that the events are happening and what they can do to help. It's everything. It's about the whole thing, the whole community aspect of it. So thanks to everybody that took part in whatever way.
And there will be more redemptions of that for the there will be special streams and everything. I'm looking so much forward to doing all of these.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, that reminds me, we the subject of the scary streams came up again in the last few days.
Yeah.
So we've got some phasmophobia and or other stuff to
You know what? I'll reach out to Dino Cool, who's part of our stream team, who's, by the way, he's featured through what's called the grassroots movement on Twitch Australia and New Zealand on the front page, because he apparently represents Australia in a good way, and I do agree. He's a crazy guy, and I absolutely love watching him play Phasmo solo on nightmare difficulty and doing all these things. I'll reach out to him and I'll ask him, could he be interested in tutoring, like having tutorials with 2 or 3 noobs, kind of walking us through things that are smart to do, where to go, and so on, and see if we can actually do it in a proper way. What do you say?
I agree. I have one additional condition. Specifically for me, I want to know how to make it, like, beyond the dark lights, spooky ambient music in the background, whatever. But what would be his tips and ideas as a sort of pro at that game? I understand he plays it quite a lot now.
Yep.
What would be his tips and ideas for how to make it the most immersive? Not necessarily talking about role playing. I will do some of that anyway in it. But how would you make that game as immersive as you possibly could?
These are good questions. Let's get them out to Dino.
Yeah.
I'll make him listen to the podcast, the entire thing.
Now that's scary.
What's your thing to smile about?
So I kind of have 2 now because of you today, but I guess the broader sense of it is, and I alluded to it a little bit with the Atlas stuff and the community and people drawing art and whatnot, but just, you know, people being creative together and collaborating and sharing their ideas and putting that in different ways, whether it's someone making a rhyme, whether it's somebody drawing a picture or anything. There's all sorts of ways, or just giving a joke or a suggestion. And we've had a bundle of that, and specifically two very, very goodly people, content creators and friends that we've made through the Twitch platform and our life's journey here, that's taken us here so far. Your good self, you have crafted something quite magical and very, very touching to my heart. A book of grudges, no less. Personalized, that, given that I also have memory issues, very much needed to help keep me on track. And that was quite the incredibly pleasant and heartwarming surprise today. And then on top of that, I received another box in the mail from America via my good friend Mr. Texas Hula, also via White Wolf, and via a lovely content creator, Miss Crochet, we call her, or Grams sometimes, affectionately known as, who, well, surprisingly enough, crochets on Twitch. Very artfully.
With a name such as Miss Crochet?
Yeah,
surely
exactly.
not.
So yeah, twitch.tv/crochet70.
We'll leave a link.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so it all started off, I talked about it earlier today, but for the sake of the podcast listeners, with a few weeks ago, I was sort of hanging out on her channel, just chilling, thinking, I don't get much chance to be here, time zones and schedules and everything. Let's just chill. And I was chilling out there, and she was making a goldfish, and it's like a little plushy toy. So it's not, don't think like flat embroidered stuff. This is all like 3D sort of, I guess, plushy toy or whatever the equivalent thing is, what you would call it. And she was making a goldfish, and I thought, oh, this is really cool. It's really awesome just to see somebody making that. At the same time, she was talking about stories and sharing life experiences and all sorts of things, you know. And it was like, wow, this is so super chill and fun, and yet at the same time stuff is actually happening and being creative. And it just it kind of was blowing my tiny mind. So I said, well, I reached out and I was like, I think this is so awesome, would you mind, I've got Atlas coming up, or just starting, or whatever it was, would you mind if I used that imagery in the game on sales and stuff? And she was like, yeah, sure, no worries. So I did it, and then sent some screenshots, and she popped into the stream and saw us role playing and saw the sales, or maybe a VOD or whatever, and she was like, oh, that's really cool. And then she caught wind of the mighty blue-eyed Kraken, part of our backstory for Skinny Pete, and this monster of the deep that's half giant squid, half kraken, half duck. And yeah, one thing led to another. She saw the emotes and everything for it, and then she just decided, she took it upon herself, without me knowing, to create a Kraken, is a crocheted plushie toy. And yeah, one thing led to another, and then I got to see this thing, and I was dropped in, and I was like, this is amazing, wow. So excited, so, you know, so cool. And then I didn't know or expect, but it turned into this little mini adventure where this thing made it halfway around the world, and it arrived yesterday while we were on, no, was it yesterday or the day before, while we were on stream, the day before. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. And yeah, so we got to do an unboxing, my first ever unboxing of anything on stream, of the Kraken. And I don't know, the guy delivering the post was like, look, I need to see your passport as identification and sign here kind of thing.
Well.
And he started looking at me, and I'm like, I'm wondering how much, like, do they know what's in these things, like, when they get scanned at customs? Is there the ones they put a smiley face on, like... No idea. This is crazy. Who creates this whole story? And then we had the artwork done by Rajira, who we met, who's our channel artist, and we met Rajira through role playing on Darkside those 3 years ago, and kind of became friends. And I didn't know she was a professional artist. She was very talented, but I didn't know. And she made a tattoo on my character in game, which takes hours to do. It's a really painstaking kind of process.
Yeah.
Based off of that story, I described the creature, and she crafted the creature. And then from then it's just kind of snowballed. And now here we are like 3 years later, and I get a plushy crocheted toy from halfway around the planet arriving at my doorstep, and then it's just, you know, what do you
Speaking of
say?
storytelling, huh?
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
These are the moments that I really love on Twitch. You know, you get there somehow. You do. And yes, having seen the Quacken today on stream is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And it is something something to go for. Definitely. Get yourself a Quacken today. I don't know if there's going to be more of them. Honestly, I'm not. Probably shouldn't be selling something that it most likely isn't for sale.
Let's see. Let's try and build up demand, and then maybe it can turn into things.
Use code Grumbles the Dwarf. Or Skinny Pete. Use code Skinny Pete. There you go.
Use the codes. No. Use the code. I don't know why.
Oh, I don't know why. Oh, wonderful. Well, would you look at that? We have recorded for about 1 hour and 47 minutes. I don't know if that's how long the episode will be, but in good Grumbles and Tiger fashion, we have wasted everybody's last 2 hours or something by now.
Yes, you're welcome.
If anybody wants to sponsor us, by all means, let me know. I'm not sure how we would do that, but yeah.
You tell us how you want to send us free stuff.
Yeah. Manscaped, reach out to us. Honestly, Manscaped, dude. Manscaped with like beard care products and so on for this entire stream team that's full of very, very, very bearded men. Dude, I think that would be perfect.
Also, bearded women out there, let us know.
Yeah, by all means.
Balance the team.
Well, yeah, you being sponsored by coffee. Dude, with the numbers you've been pulling lately, you should be able to reach out to somebody.
I've had one group contact me actually, but possibly two, who I have to start looking into these things a bit more seriously. But yeah, some sponsored coffee would. I'm just thinking of it now, and I got through my one coffee through the podcast, and I might have a cheeky another one. It's quite late, but
maybe you should reach out to a content creator by the name of Jacksepticeye and his top of the morning coffee.
Oh, sounds interesting.
He actually made his own coffee company because he loves coffee. So there you
go. Good shout.
Yeah, no, like maybe. Who knows? It would be cool.
Top of the morning coffee.
Top of the morning. They make tea too, by the way, for those interested. So.
My name is Pete McCracken. People call me Skinny Pete. I don't get out of bed unless I know there's a top of the morning coffee brewing for me.
It would be perfect. Come on, man. It would be awesome. Jacksepticeye, if you're listening to this, please hook up my boy Grumbles here, huh? Come on. There you go. Anyway, we're going to leave this episode here. We have something to smile about. I've been the Tiger. He's been the Grumbles.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know how we end these episodes anymore.
I don't know. See you next month, I guess, on the 30th.
And we look forward to exit to port with you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.